Hello again. I'm starting a new book today, and as you can see, I'm also in a new place. I borrowed somebody else's bedroom because it's got the doll's house in, and our book is called 5 Dolls in a House by Helen Clare. I think it's out of print now, which is a shame because it's a really lovely book. I like it a lot. Chapter 1 is called House Property. There you are, there's a picture. The doll's house stood, with its front shut, and its door shut, making its usual face at Elizabeth. A rather surprised face because of the gables, like eyebrows, above the top windows. She liked it best like this because it was easier to think of what might be going on inside. When she opened the whole front, nothing happened except what she made happen herself. But when the dolls were shut in and nobody stared, they did all kinds of things. Now they're private and do what they like, she said. However, she could not help having another look through the windows in case she should see them at it. There was the kitchen, with 3 pots on the stove, a cake on the floor, and a Christmas pudding on the table. Most untidy. In the dining room, the new brass plates and candlesticks and bowls were huddled together anyhow on the table and needed arranging, and the huge tongs and poker, too big for the fireplace, sprawled crookedly on the grate. In the parlour, someone sat, fallen forward, onto the piano. Everything needed arranging. It needs spring cleaning too, she said. I'd have tiny mops and brooms and dusters if I could go in, if I was small enough. If you had the sense you was born with, you'd know how to get small instead of only knowing how to get big, said a voice. It was the monkey, which someone had given her for her birthday. A gingerish-coloured monkey with a saucy face. He was sitting on top of the doll's house in his usual place and scowling at her. Can you see him up there? There he is. Elizabeth was not surprised that he should talk. She often had long made-up conversations with him and knew the way he spoke and the things he said. He was a London monkey and had lived on a barrel organ and was always playing tricks. He was very interested in what other people were doing, and Elizabeth often had to explain to him exactly what she was doing herself. But I wasn't born knowing how to grow small. It's not natural to grow small, so of course I don't know how to, she said. It's natural to a balloon, said the monkey. Well, I'm not a balloon, said Elizabeth crossly, and I can't grow small. Well, if you'd got any sense you'd learn, so's to be able to watch things. My, the things I see down this chimbley. What do you mean? Dolls is as bad as humans and worse, said the monkey. They quarrel. It's easy to get small, of course, he went on. I knows, 'cause I used to be an organ grinder's monkey till I went small. But I don't want to stay small, objected Elizabeth. It's quite easy to get big again too. How is it you've not got big again then? 'Cause I like being the size I am. It's a handy size. Well, I'm going to call on the dolls now, so you'd better be quiet. They've had long enough to themselves, Elizabeth now announced, and she knocked at the door with 2 fingers. I needn't knock, she explained to the monkey, because it's my house, and they can't answer anyway. They'll answer if you knock, said he. What's a knock for, set to be answered? And at this moment Elizabeth heard a patter of steps and a flurried voice inside. She put her ear down and listened. Here she is. What did I tell you? Said the voice. Now, are we all ready to begin? She's very prompt. And the door was opened by a lady with very red cheeks. Very red indeed, too red, thought Elizabeth, and a frizzy fringe of dark hair, over which was a rather battered hat with a bluish feather. The feather drooped sadly, as if it had been dipped in some soup. She looked at Elizabeth severely under her fringe. Come in, she said. We were quite expecting you. In fact, you're a little late. Well, said Elizabeth, I heard you say quite plainly I was very prompt. Oh, you shouldn't listen through letterboxes, said the red-cheeked lady, and her feather bobbed angrily. If you're that sort of a maid, I'll send you straight away again. Oh, but I'm not a maid at all, began Elizabeth. No, I know you're not. You're a char sent to help with the spring cleaning. I ordered you myself so as I should know. Come in, do. And without thinking twice about it, Elizabeth walked into the house. She said nothing, she was too surprised, but followed the red-cheeked person into the parlour. Here the most strange sight met her eyes. The was a young lady flopped over a chair, which was really too small for her anyway, and with a very lackadaisical look. But the strangest thing of all was that she only had a vest and a hat on. It was a blue knitted vest with a great many drop stitches. "Oh, I say," began Elizabeth. "Oh, that's all right. Never mind Lupin," said the red-cheeked lady in a loud whisper behind her hand. "She's always a little odd, the way she dresses, you know. She's not quite right in the top, you see." "But she is," said Elizabeth. "She's perfectly all right. I'd never leave a doll half-dressed again. It's dreadful for her. Where are her clothes? I'll put them on." "You'll do no such thing," said Vanessa, for Elizabeth had realised that it was her doll Vanessa, and was not at all surprised to see that she was head of the house. She was an old-fashioned doll who had belonged to Elizabeth's grandmother, and had always been a managing person. It was those red cheeks. "You'll do no such thing. Why, I employed you as a char, not as a lady's maid. You'd better begin. Oh, here are the others. This is Jane," she said. "Excuse her dress being so long, but she grows so fast that it will soon be the right length." "Hello, Jane, darling," said Elizabeth, running forward, for Jane was a sweet doll, very kind and good-tempered. She was wearing a green nightgown. "Jane, darling," shrieked Vanessa. "Who do you think you're addressing? Say good afternoon, miss, at once." "And here's Amanda," went on Elizabeth, delightedly, taking no notice of Vanessa. "But bless my fringe," said Vanessa. "Do you girls know this char?" "I'm not a char nor a maid. Don't you know who I am?" said Elizabeth. All four of the ladies looked at each other furtively and whispered, "Who is it?" "Why, you silly things, surely you know who I am. It's too ridiculous." "Oh, my dears," began Vanessa. "We've made a horrible mistake. It's the new landlady. It must be." As she turned to Elizabeth, her feather jumped with anxiety. "Oh, please excuse us. The fact is, we had ordered a young person to come and spring clean the house, and we quite thought you were she. But now I look at it closer, it's clear you're not. I'm afraid, dear Mrs. Small," said Elizabeth, without thinking. "Dear Mrs. Small," continued Vanessa, "you'll find the house rather dirty." "Oh, but that's not your fault," said Elizabeth. The ladies all looked at each other in surprise. "You can't clean the house," she went on. "We were all brought up very genteel," said Vanessa in another whisper. "We're not used to it. Even Lupin there, though you wouldn't think it by her vest, is quite a lady." Lupin got up quickly, pulled down her vest, straightened her hat, and pattered out of the room. "Oh, I say, you've offended her, poor Lupin." "She's gone to bed, the lazy thing, I quite expect," said Amanda, who was wearing a large brooch made of enamelled rosebuds on her front. "The landlady ought to be showed the house, Vanessa, especially where certain things are wrong, you know," she said meaningly. "We must give her a meal as she isn't the char," said Jane. "I'll lay the table while you show her the house. And don't forget the monkey on the roof," she whispered. Vanessa threw up her hands. "Oh, Mrs. Small," she exclaimed, "you'd never believe it, but there's an animal on our roof. And he is so rude, we think he must be a burglar. You know," she whispered once more, "he actually looks down the chimney to see what we're doing, and we're all brought up so genteel. It can't be right to have a monkey on our roof." Elizabeth laughed aloud, and Vanessa blushed very red and said angrily, "Well, I thought as you were the landlady—" "It's very bad of the monkey," said Elizabeth. "But do you quarrel much among yourselves, I mean?" she added. Amanda squealed and dived under the table. "Amanda quarrels," Vanessa said sternly. "But she can't quarrel with herself." "She quarrels and quarrels with everyone." That accounts for what the monkey said then." "What did the monkey say? Do you mean to tell me you know that monkey, and you allow him to see what we're doing?" "It's Vanessa what quarrels," said a voice down the chimney. "Not Amanda. She's my favourite." "Oh, come out, Amanda dear," said Elizabeth. "Vanessa, you shouldn't tell lies. Show me round the house." Vanessa's feather drooped sulkily as she led the way out, and her mouth went down at the corners. "No stair carpet, you see," she said sternly. "No wonder I quarrel. My feet get cold." "Oh, I'm so sorry," said Elizabeth. "I'll see to it. And there's Lupin in bed, but no blankets, you know. We were never given any blankets, just bedspreads. and being brought up such ladies as we all were. Oh, goodness, I never thought. Are you cold in bed? Always, said Vanessa in injured tones. Hush, she said, as the door began to open opposite. Here's the paying guest. She's come to learn the language. It was Jacqueline, Elizabeth's French doll. Jacqueline had the most beautiful clothes and made the rest look shabby. Also, she was prettier than they were. She can't understand much English, so I'm sure she won't mind my saying to you that it's a disgrace the way she wears those expensive clothes morning, noon and night. She gets up into them even. Good afternoon, she said stiffly, as poor Jacqueline smiled and went downstairs. Hello, Jacqueline, said Elizabeth. Hello, said the paying guest timidly, but she winked behind Vanessa's back. Lupin had come out onto the landing to peep. Put your frock on, Lupin, said Elizabeth, and then come down. Now, what else is wrong, Vanessa? At this minute there was a scream from downstairs, and a creaking and a shaking, and the whole party stood terrified as the front of the house was seized by a large hand and swung open. The hand came in, grabbed a chair with a broken leg, and then closed the front. Oh! Screamed Jane and Amanda. Oh, burglars! You see what we have to put up with, said Vanessa, shaking all over. Is it right to build a house with the whole front taken off? Now, is it? Quick, Vanessa, a terrible thing has happened. Poor Lupin, said Jane up the stairs. Whatever is it? She was leaning against her window. She must have been, and she fell out. I saw her go. In her vest, too. I expected everyone passing by, said Vanessa in shocked tones, as they all ran downstairs and out of the front door. Poor Lupin lay still on the floor outside, looking very surprised. But that's nothing, whispered Vanessa. She always looks surprised. It's her eyebrows being so high. Oh, lift her up, do, Elizabeth said. Gently, she may be heard. Oh, not she, said Vanessa. Cotton waste, that's what she is. And she hasn't even got a silk skin. Sit up at once, Lupin, you're not hurt. She'll be all right as soon as she gets her dress on, said Vanessa firmly. Fetch your dress, Amanda. Now, come on, quick, said Jane. If Lupin's better, we'll have dinner. We must hurry or the light will go. We go to bed as soon as it's dark because the electric people will cut the light off, said Vanessa. Oh dear, I quite forgot. You want a new battery, said Elizabeth. Now, sit up, said Jane, bustling around. There's one chair short, said Amanda. The paying guest can have that one, whispered Vanessa. It's the one the burglar took. Don't be silly. It wasn't a burglar. It's gone to be mended, said Elizabeth. My brother took it. And how can she have it if it's not here? Poor Jacqueline sat on the floor in her fine clothes. Carve the joint and the chicken, said Jane. Quick, the light's going. So Vanessa carved the joint and handed round the plates. But to Elizabeth's surprise, her plate was empty, and all the food, which looked very appetising, stayed on the plates in the middle. We just pretend to carve, said Vanessa in her loud whisper, because the things, unfortunately, won't come off the plates, you know. Amanda overcooked them the first time. She didn't, said a voice down the chimney. They came like it. It's that monkey again. Take no notice. It's vulgar to call up the chimney. Eat your dinner and up, Lupin. It'll make your bruises better. Poor Lupin ate the nothing which was on her plate. Oh, you poor thing, said Elizabeth. You must be starving. Those joints and puddings aren't much good, really. Well, never mind. It saves the washing up, you know, whispered Vanessa. And the cooking, for that matter. It's dull having the same thing every time, sighed Amanda. But it is cake for tea, remarked the paying guest, or I come not here. Cake for tea quite the thing in England. It's very dark, said Jane, so if you've all finished, I shall clear away. I must go, said Elizabeth. Oh, dear landlady, must you? Said Vanessa sweetly. You're quite welcome to stay the night. There's a bath you could sleep in. It's too small for any of us to bath in, except Amanda, and she doesn't get very dirty, so we keep clothes in it. But we could turn them out. I know it's not genteel to keep clothes in it, she finished in a whisper. Oh, I knew that bath wasn't big enough. It was given me. I'll get a bigger one. Oh, many, many thanks, kind landlady, said the doll, seeing her to the door. And don't forget the monkey, whispered Vanessa. Nor the blankets, added Jane. Nor the stair carpet, said Amanda. Nor the dreadful way the front takes out, said poor Lupin. And the extra chair, if you like, added Jacqueline. You mean, if you please, sniffed Vanessa. Goodbye, goodbye, said all the dolls. Elizabeth waved and then watched a little while through the window. All asleep, reported the monkey from the roof as she went down the path, except that there lodger, and she's reading a novel in bed. I don't frighten them, monkey. Sometimes, said the monkey, I slips down the chimney and has a cut off that chicken when they're all in bed. What about me turning big again, said Elizabeth. Just think you're growing bigger and bigger, said the monkey. But there was no need. Already Elizabeth was well past the doll's house, and soon it seemed its ordinary size again. She looked in and saw Lupin in her blue vest, safe in bed. There's a couple of pictures I didn't show you, because I didn't want to interrupt the dolls' conversations. There's one here. You can see Elizabeth Brother's hand coming in, taking the chair, and poor Lupin there, falling out of the front of the house. I think that's... I don't know. I thought it was Elizabeth, but I can never tell the difference between Elizabeth and Jacqueline. There's Vanessa at the top, and there's Jane. And then there's one here of all the dolls together, like a family portrait. And there's a lovely plan there of the doll's house, which I should imagine is pretty difficult to see on the screen. So thank you for joining me for Chapter 1. Tomorrow we'll have Chapter 2. See you then.